Good morning, everybody. Hello. So I think there is still 3 more minutes before we can start. So I will just wait for more people to join in. So in general, are people having any difficulties with the course or the way material is being taught? Do you have any concerns? Everything going fine? Do you all like the MIT course and Sid Sikelis lectures? Are they good? How about my teaching? Is it too fast? Okay, very good. Thank you for responding. So, at any point, if you have any concerns, anything is affecting your studies, if something I can do, I will definitely help. Okay, so just mail me if there are any issues that you face. Okay, we will work out something. Okay, so there are still 2 more minutes. Okay, Monty Hall problem. All right. So, yeah. So maybe Monty Hall problem, I can share some interesting video with you. Okay, all right. Okay, so okay, still half the students are yet to turn up, so let me just wait. So today at the last 15 minutes, I think I will stop at around 12:40. Sorry, I'm saying what's the time? 11:30. Around 15 minutes before the scheduled end of the class, I will stop, and then we will have the quiz. So regarding the quiz, as I told you yesterday, uh, don't be too concerned in trying to ace the quiz. Okay, so all throughout the education process we have, what we have is like you have to do well in a short amount of time. Okay, that is a useful skill, but you need to now learn how to think slowly. Okay, because that's like the long game. You have to see what is the best thing that you can do over many years. Okay, so for instance, like this course you will not have any difficulty clearing as long as you don't cheat. So don't cheat, just try to attempt as best you can. You will definitely clear if you are sincere. Okay, and I will help you if you are having any difficulties. All those things can be arranged. Okay, so if you, for example, if you want to go for higher studies, if you are sincere, I will be more than happy to give you good reco. Okay, but don't cheat. Fine, it's not worth it. Okay, so all right. Okay, so I think there is a good amount of class has come in. So let me just repeat. So we will have during the last 15 minutes, we will have the quiz today. I will stop little ahead so that we have enough time for that. Yeah, so I think we are all prepared for it. So good. So let's start for today. So let me share my screen. Okay, so yesterday we finished the first module, the basic probability, and then we had commenced on what is the important concept of random variables. Okay, and what we learned yesterday is that random variable x is a random variable, so it's denoted by capital letters, which takes from the sample space to R. Okay, and the picture that you can have in mind is like, for example, if your omega is the class, so this omega is your class, then a random variable or a measurement could be like the height of each student. Okay, so this is a very useful picture to keep in mind. Okay, so and then that was the first thing we saw, and then we saw that we can so this is your real line. So if you plot a figure which plots basically probability of x. Okay, so let's say this is x1, x2 and x3. So basically you can plot how many of these points, what's the probability of getting this outcome, what is the probability of getting this outcome, and you can collect it. Okay, and just a moment, somebody. Okay, all right, you can collect it, and you can write it as P capital X is equal to x1. So this is the probability that the random variable takes a value x1. So for instance, so suppose there are 100 people in this class, okay, and there are exactly 2 people whose height is let's say 60 inches. Okay, so now what is the probability that x is equal to 60 inches? So there is 2 people, so totally 100 ways I could have chosen people, so it's 2 out of 100. So if you plot that in this manner, this is called as a probability mass function. Okay, so this is called as probability mass function. Now yesterday we also saw what's the use of doing this. So one is like numbers are easy. That is one of the reasons why we study random variable rather than the original sample space omega. The second reason is there are patterns repeat. Okay, so this is like your machine learning idea, and then of course you can concentrate or focus on points of interest. Okay, so this is what we began yesterday. Yeah, and now let's discuss some new properties with respect to this probability mass function. So okay, yesterday we also understood that random variables are of 2 types. Okay, so random variables can be discrete. A particular example of discrete is finite, or maybe countably infinite. So this is, all these things are called discrete random variables, or it could be continuous, in which case it will be uncountably infinite, uncountable basically. Okay, so we will first focus on discrete random variables. So discrete random variables are the ones where the values that the random variable takes, okay, the range of your random variable, the function. So a random variable is a function, right, from omega to R. So if you look at x of omega, okay, the entire mapping of the original set omega, this will be discrete. So it will be discrete. So that those random variables are called as discrete random variables. And for these random variables, we have probability mass function. Okay, so this is the thing. So yeah, so now one thing is immediately obvious, right? So if I look at this particular function, so px is your probability mass function, I sum over all possible values of x that exist in this mapping of x of omega. What would this be? Yeah, very good. So this is very similar to your normalization axiom. Yeah, go ahead. So when you map the sample space x from the original sample space omega to R, so this is not natural number, this is real number. So what values it will take? It will be discrete or countably infinite. Those are the random variables for which probability mass function exists. Okay, so I'm telling about right now only focusing on discrete random variables. So natural numbers is also an example of is a subset of R, right? So it's not like it's something else. Did I answer your question? Let me know if yeah. So basically we are looking at discrete. So discrete means it can be n, it can be natural numbers, it can be integers, it can be rational numbers, but all we are saying is it has to be discrete, which means it can be finite, or if it is infinite it has to be countably infinite. What is the meaning of countably infinite? You can represent all the points in a sequence. Okay, so countably infinite, you will learn this in discrete math at some point. So countably infinite means you can map x of omega, you can write this as a sequence of elements. So xi, I equal to 1 to infinity. You can write it as a sequence. Okay, if you can do that, it is countably infinite. So now what I'm saying for the first property is like, if I sum over all the points where the mapping can go to, since that covers the entire omega, okay, the probability that any of these points happen, this has to be 1. Okay, so this is the first important property, and naturally analogous similar property that you can also understand quite easily. This has to be non-negative, right? So how is that? How do we prove this? It's again a trivial proof, but I'm just going to write it for your benefit. So basically, what is P of Px of x? So Px of x is equal to probability of set of all omega such that x of omega, the random variable, maps to the small value, the value, particular value x. Okay, so this is capital X we should write. Okay, anyway, so that is the definition. So now if I look at this, so which are all the points that are mapping to this? It will be some collection of this, and since it's a probability of an event, from the normalization axiom, this is greater than 0. So this follows from non-negativity. So this P of this is basically, so you have omega, E and P, right? The original space. And then you have the random variable X, and that brings it to R. Okay, so now this capital P is what is this P here. Okay, and since it's in the original space, the non-negativity axiom applies. So these are all very, very simple, silly proofs, but I just wanted to show you so that you get more comfortable with these objects. Okay. Any questions so far? Okay, so now what we will do is we will look at a few examples of random variables. So let me make some space. Let's look at some examples. So random variables, we are currently focused on discrete. Okay, so let's look at the first experiment. So the first experiment that we are looking at. So whenever you are talking about random variables, you have to tell me what is the original sample space, omega, E and P. What is the original sample space? Then you have to tell how each point in this sample space is mapped to R. So what is the function x that exists, which is doing the mapping? Okay, so the experiment omega is basically two rolls of a die. So there are two dice, one die, you are throwing it twice, either that way, or if you are more comfortable, two distinct dice which you are throwing. Okay, so that is your omega. So what are all the possible values that it can take? We know this, but I will write just a few of them. So you can have 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, up to 1, 6. Okay, and then you can have 2, 1, 2, 2, so on, up to 2, 6. and then you can also have 6 1 6 2 6 6. Okay, so this is your sample space, and we are going to assume that P is like, since these are all identical fair dice, so we will assume that P of any outcome, so any particular outcome, whatever you want, so let's say 2 comma 3 is equal to 1 over 36. Okay, so this is like uniform probability, so it's like every point is equally likely. Okay, so now this is your, now we have defined the left hand side of the function, like the domain. So omega, E and P we have defined. Now we have to tell what is the random variable X. Okay, so now the random variable X, what does it operate on? It operates on a set of points, so like call it as omega prime. So omega is the first outcome of the dice, the omega prime is the second outcome of the dice, and I'm going to call this as omega plus omega 1. So basically what I'm looking at is sum of the two dice. Okay, sorry, what is this spelling? Okay, yeah, sum of the two dice. All right, so this is what is the first random variable that we have, that is an example that I wanted to say. This is okay. So now what we can do is, now we can draw the PMF of it, the probability mass function. Probability mass function. So let's draw the probability mass function. So what are all the values the sum of the two dice can take? What are all the possible values that we can take in this? 2 to 12, thanks. So what we do is we begin by drawing all the points from 2 to 12. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so to get a 2, there is only one way we can get a 2. That is by getting 1 comma 1. That's the only thing that maps to 2. Okay, so Px of 2. So on this axis, we are going to draw the probability mass function, which is Px. Okay, so Px of 1 comma 1, the values, the points which map to 2 is only 1. So this will be 1 over 36. All right. So similarly, for 12, there is only one way in which you can get, that is 6 comma 6. So this will be 1 over 36. All right. Now for 3, there are two ways you can get 3. So let me write both the ways. So you have 2 comma 1 or 1 comma 2. Okay, so this will be 2 over 36. All right. Similarly, 11, there are two ways in which you can get 11, which is 5 comma 6 or 6 comma 5. Both of these will give 11. So that also will be 2 over 36. Okay, so let me do for some intermediate value. So let's look at 6. So what are all the outcomes that will give me 6? Yes, someone? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, very good. Okay, so now there are 5 outcomes. So obviously we will write this as 5 comma 6, 5 comma 5 by 36. Okay, so this is the way we draw the probability mass function. All right, is this idea clear to everybody? Any questions here? All of them, you don't say, you are saying we don't normalize it. Is that what you are saying? Yes. You are saying we just say how many points map to 2. So there is only one, so we take it as 1. So this maps to 2 and so on, right? That's what you're saying. This maps to 5. So why do you divide by 36? Okay. So the thing is the definition of a mass. So px of 6. What is the meaning of this? So this is the probability that you look at all points in your omega such that your x of omega is equal to 6. Do you follow this idea? So now by definition 6 will be obtained by looking at 1 5 2 4 3 3 4 2 and 5 1. Is that so far you are with me? Is this okay? So this will be 5 by 36, right? Since each there are 5 outcomes, so it is 5 by 36. Now we can write it as 5, but that won't be a probability. We are not plotting probability then. But the probability mass function is having a particular definition, and the definition is you are actually plotting the probability each of the outcome happens. Did I answer your question? Okay, sure? Okay. I understand what you're saying. You said why do we keep writing divided by 36 everywhere, but just that is just because we have defined this particular notion in this manner. All right. Okay, so let's talk about another experiment. Okay, very good. So this I think is a useful discussion. So let's continue along the lines. So let me make some more space over here. Okay, let me start with a new file. September. Okay, file A. Okay, so let's look at example 2. So now this is another experiment. Okay, so this is an experiment which is you repeatedly toss a coin till you get head. Okay, this is the example. Now in real life, what is the meaning of this? So this is called as a geometric random variable. Okay, so you can think of like I don't know, you are going to your like mailbox. Every morning you go to your mailbox and you see if you have got an email. Okay, so if you don't get an email today, you come back and check if you have got an email tomorrow, and you keep doing it till you get one email. So this is one example of a geometric random variable. Another example is like, suppose you have a machine, some device, let's say light bulb. Every morning you see if the light bulb is working. If it works, you are happy, you go away. But then you come again tomorrow and see if it's working. You keep doing this till the light bulb fails. Okay, so that is another example of a geometric random variable. So now we have to now look at the omega. You have to look at E. You have to look at the probability. And then we have to look at what's the random variable we are considering. And we have to tell how it maps. Okay, repeatedly toss a coin till you get a head. Measure. I'm using this word measure even though it's not technically right thing to say. It doesn't sound good in English, but I say measure so that you understand that it is the random variable we are talking. Measure the number of times the coin was tossed. Okay, so let's try to understand this a little more because this is not so obvious. So let's look at all possible omegas. So one omega is the first day you did a toss, and in that day itself you got a head. Okay, so this is the first. However, this may not be like this. So what you can get is in the first day you get a tail, but the next day when you checked, you got a head. So this is another possible way in which the experiment can end. Okay, so similarly you can, so this is first day, I'm writing 1 to indicate that this is the first day. So similarly, you may have T1, which is like first day you got a tail, the second day you got a head, and that experiment ended. So likewise, you can have T1, T2, and H3. Okay, so similarly, if you continue in this manner, let me write one more, T1, T2, T3, then you got H4. Okay, so like this, if you continue, at some point you will have T1 to all the way up to Tk minus 1 and Hk. So these are all the possible ways in which this particular experiment can end. Okay, so now we have to talk about what is P of omega. So what is P of H1? P of H1 is the probability that when you toss, you get a head. Okay, so let us call this probability as P. So that is the thing. So it can be, for example, half if the coin is not biased. If it's a nice IPL coin, it will be half, but in general, it may not be the case. Yes, somebody had any question? Everything okay so far? Okay, so now let's look at this. So what is P of T1 H2? So the way to do this is like you have to first write the proper formula. So the probability of intersection is given by this, right? You remember, this is the right way to write this. This is always true. This whatever I wrote is always true. Okay. Now, what is the probability that you get a tail? That is 1 minus oh sorry, let me not write it there. So this is 1 minus P. Okay, but we know that the coin tosses are independent. So when the coin tosses are independent, this is like probability of H2, which is equal to 1 minus P into P. Is this argument clear to everybody? Okay, so let's do one more so that we get more comfortable with this. So T1, T2, H3. So this is something that I hope you have read for today's quiz. You would have seen this. So P of T1 into P of T2 given T1 into P of H3 given T1, T2. Very good. So now, since we know they are all independent, we can write it as P of T1 into P of T2 into P of H3, which will be equal to 1 minus P squared into P. Okay. And similarly, for the last case, I will directly write this will be 1 minus P to the power of K minus 1 into P. Okay. And this sample space, it never ends. It can, for instance, take forever. If your coin is very, very biased, it can be always giving you tail. Okay, so it can never end, for example, that can happen. Okay, but we haven't talked, so we have completely specified what is the omega, what is the E, and what is the P, but we have not specified the random variable itself. So let me write the random variable over here. So let me write in a different color. So what is x of omega? So in the first case, if this outcome happens, x of omega is 1 because the experiment ended with just one toss. Okay. And in the second case, it is 2. In this here, it is 3. And for the kth one, this is equal to small k. All right. So this is how it goes. Okay. So now this is a random variable which is called as a geometric random variable. Okay. The idea of a geometric random variable is you wait until a particular event happens. All right. Okay. So now what we need to do over here is we have to check if this statement is true. So summation px of x, okay, x, what are all the values x can take? Yes, what are all the values x can take? Guys? Yes, but we should not talk about those values. We should talk about what are the values here, right? See, remember when we looked at the thing, we were doing this, right? We were saying px of x, and x belongs to not omega but x of omega. Correct? We are not looking at here. We are looking at what values it can take. So it is 1, 2, 3 and so on. Does that make sense? Okay, so this is going to be summation I sorry, k, small k, greater than or equal to 1 minus p to the power of k minus 1 into p. Okay, so far is it all right? Everybody is with me? Okay, so now if you observe this, this is like a geometric series. So what is a geometric series? So geometric series is you have a, then you add ar, then you have ar square plus so on. Okay, and if r is less than 1, this s infinity is the sum of this. S infinity is given by a by 1 minus r, right? We know this. So what is the a for this particular series? What is the a? P. So this is P, and 1 minus R is 1 minus P. Is that okay? Yeah? Any confusions here? Very good. So this seems to be all right. So this is equal to P minus P divided by P, which is equal to 1. Okay. So this particular definition is correct. So we have to sometimes check if this actually sums to 1. All right. Good. So let's discuss next random variable. So this we have seen so far two random variables. First one was dice throw, and second one was a geometric random variable. Now let's look at one more random variable. So please interrupt me if you have any questions. Okay. Yeah, go ahead. So let me come to that point. So on the second day, yes, because 1 minus p, right, is a number less than 1. You are absolutely right. So it is always decreasing. So if you draw the PMF, right, what you will see is on the first day it will be p, second day it will be p into 1 minus p, and that is less. You're right. So p into 1 minus p squared and so on. So this is the so the value is 1, 2, 3. So this is your R, and this is your P capital X, which is your PMF. Did I answer your question? So you say it should occur late. Is that what you're saying? No. So your common sense says that it should occur not in the first day but later, right? Is that what you're saying? So that is correct. So what you are looking at is later will be like, you have to sum all of these guys together. You have to sum all of this together, and then you have to compare with P. First day happening is P. All the other days happening is 1 minus P. You have to see which is bigger. So what I'm saying is so the question is the failure happening on the first day, or is it not happening on the first day? So what's the probability that the failure is on the first day? This is P. So what is the probability that failure is not on the first day? This is equal to probability that X belongs to like 2, 3, 4, all of this put together. Okay, so then you have to sum up all of them. So P into 1 minus P plus, okay, P into 1 minus P square and all these things. And then what is the number? That number, if you do it properly, you should get 1 minus P. So you have to come. So probability that failure happens on the first day is P. Probability that failure doesn't happen on the first day is 1 minus P. Okay, so then you have to see which is bigger. I don't know if I answered your question. Okay, good. So this is what is called as the geometric random variable. Okay, so now let's move on and talk about the next important random variable, which is called as binomial. Okay, so now this is basically, you imagine like you repeat so what is the experiment? So let's describe the experiment. First step, toss a coin n times. See, again, I would like to emphasize, okay, I have been telling this all over throughout the lectures. All of these examples look as though we are talking about something silly. Why the hell are we tossing a coin? What is so great about tossing a coin? But the point is, many machine learning algorithms, many things that you see in life fall in this modeling framework. See, this probability itself is a mathematical modeling framework. Okay, so even though you may feel like this is not having practical relevance and it seems like we are playing games, it actually has significance later on. So you will see that later. Okay, so don't discount it, because all the time we are saying throw a dice or do a coin toss. Okay, so but in this has important significance. Okay, so trust me, it will do. I will give you some projects and assignments and everything to try and emphasize that, but yeah, you will see more examples when you go further down in your course. Okay, so this is, let me again repeat. So what we are talking about, the binomial random variable. The experiment is you toss a coin n times, then you record the number of heads. Okay, so now let's take an example binomial random variable, example of a binomial random variable. So let's do a simple example where n is equal to 4. That means I'm doing 4 coin tosses one after the other. Probability of getting a head is equal to small p. Suppose that is also given. Okay, so now when I'm doing 4 coin tosses, how many heads can I get? What is the range of values of head I can get? Yes, 0 to 4. Very good. So let's write this. So your omega are basically all 4 ways in which you can get the coin toss outcomes. So let me write this. So tail, 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 tail. Oops. So tail, 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 head. Tail, tail, head, tail. Tail, tail, head, head. Tail, head, tail, tail. Tail, head, tail, head. Tail, head, head, tail. Oh, did I miss something? Oh, this will be 16. Okay, so I cannot write this throughout. Okay, maybe I can. All right, let's do something clever. 25. Sorry guys, so let me. Okay, so for this particular thing, let me just okay, so these are all the ways in which you can okay, so these are all the things, all possible ways. There are 16 ways in which this can happen. And now what you can talk about is what is p of omega for each of them. And since there are totally 2 power 4, which is 16 ways, each of these probabilities 1 over 16. Okay, I'm not going to write, but you can understand that there are 1 over 16 here for each of this. And what is x of omega for each of this? So let me ask. So what is x of omega for the first one? Guys, what is x of omega? Yeah, 0. Yeah, very good. So this is 0, this is 1. Okay, so this is 2, this is 1, this is 2, this is 2. Okay, see, you may feel like I'm writing very trivial things, but I'm explaining this a little in detail so that you understand what's going on. Okay, so a little verbosity does not harm anyone, but I think it helps reinforce the concept. So 2, 3, okay, 3, and let's say this is a 4. Okay, so this is this. Now the question is, we need to draw the probability mass function. This we need to draw. So this is something that we have to do for this. So for this we have to tell what is the probability of getting a particular value, let's say 2. So what this is saying is I am tossing the coin 4 times. Okay, what is the probability that 2 of them are heads? So the way to do it is to look at all these outcomes where 2 comes. So this one, this one, this one, okay, this one, this one, this one. All right, so there are 6 ones. So 6 divided by 1 over 16. Okay, so this is what we have done. So this is so this is only true if p is equal to half. If not, we have to basically look at how many ways you can get heads. So let me write that. So probability of getting a heads. So all these guys, tail, tail, head, head. Okay. Tail, tail, head, head, tail, head, tail, head. Okay. Tail, head, head, tail, head, tail, tail, head. Okay, and then finally head, head, tail, tail. I think one more I'm missing. So what is that? Head, tail, head, tail. Okay. Now, if you see properly, the probability that you get 2 tails and 2 heads, that is given by 1 minus p square. This is the probability of getting 2 tails times 2 heads is p square. Each of this is this. So you are going to have this summation everywhere. So this will be 1 minus p squared times p squared. All of this will sum. Okay, 6 times this will sum. So it will become 6 into 1 minus p square into p squared, like this. Okay. Go ahead. Sorry, I meant to say 1 by 2. Thank you for correcting me. These are all stupid things I will do. But yeah, 1 by 2. Yes. Okay, so now what I'm saying is, if p equal to 1 by 2, the answer would have been 6 over 16. But since p is not necessarily 1 by 2 in this experiment, if you want to actually compute, you have to write all possible sequences that will give you 2 heads, and thereafter you have to write what's the probability of getting 2 heads. So that is 1 minus p square, and that is the 2 tails is 1 minus p squared, getting 2 heads is p square, and then overall if you do, it becomes like this. Okay, and this 6 is actually 4 choose 2. Okay, so in general, for a general problem, for a general value, so this is for px2, but if you had a general pxk, okay, this will be 4 is the number of times you toss the coin. In general, it will be n. This will be n choose k, 1 minus p to the power of n minus k. So this n minus k heads into p power k. So this is the binomial probability mass function, PMF of binomial. Okay, is that all right, everybody? No other questions, right? Very good. Yeah. Good, very good question. So these are all the fundamental questions, the way you should think. So very nice. So geometric, what you are doing is like you are going to keep tossing. You will not do for a fixed number of time. You will do till you get a head. But for a binomial random variable, you will do n times. Irrespective of the outcomes, you will toss the coin n times. And then you will see how many times heads came. But for the geometric, you will do till you get a heads. So that can happen in one round itself, or you may have to do 10 tosses. Okay, that's the difference between geometric and binomial. Is that okay? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So which was that? Which was that? Which example is this? What you're talking about? This is geometric that we discussed. The previous thing is it? Should I open that? Let me. You just point out what exactly you're saying. Which one? So just tell me what you're saying. Yeah. Yeah, so you choose, so whenever you do this experiment, right, you choose one outcome and you map it. Any of these outcomes can happen. You don't repeat till everybody is chosen, right? See, in the class, if I pick a random student and measure its height, it's not like I take everybody's height. I'm only choosing the random person and doing his height. So it's only done once. Okay, what I'm writing in terms in terms of this PMF is just trying to write all the possible values it can take. That's a different thing. It's not that I repeat this experiment. That's not what I'm saying here. Is that all right? Yes, this experiment is taking place one time. The other experiment, there you don't, I think what you should do is you should understand what is the omega in each of these spaces. That is what you should do. Okay, and then you should see these values. Okay, I think I have to stop now because it's almost the quiz time. So I will share my lecture videos in YouTube. You will get to see that, and we will start the quiz now. Okay.